gender-affirming care is usually more harmful than helpful. And the third is gender dysphoric feelings usually pass. Now first, America is not the first to this issue. The Dutch started doing this already in the 1970s. Between 1972 and 2015, they conducted 6,800 surgeries, according to the Amsterdam cohort of gender dysphoria study in the Journal of Sex Medicine in 2018. Just 6,800 surgeries within 50 years. Why so few? Well, the Dutch protocol prevents most surgeries because they consider this drastic medicine that is only an option for extreme cases. In America, we don't follow the Dutch protocol. We do not treat this like drastic medicine. We casually put children on puberty blockers. We put 18,000 children on puberty blockers in just 2021. Think about that. Think about those numbers for a while. The Dutch did these surgeries for a whole 50 years, and they only agreed to do this drastic medicine 6,800 times. We're just 4% of the whole world population. The Netherlands was doing it for everybody. We're just 4% of the world population, and we did 18,000 in a year just to kids. Something is very wrong with these numbers. Part of what is wrong is our consent system. We do not put the thought into this that the Dutch do. If the hospital wants to sell this drastic medicine, they put in a salesman's effort to sell it. For example, St. Louis's Children's Hospital had a whistleblower named Jamie Reed. She was one of those saleswomen. Reed testified that Children's Hospital would pressure parents by saying manipulative things like, you can either have a living son or a dead daughter. How do you not say yes to these puberty blockers when somebody says that to you? In Reed's affidavit on paragraph 49, she stated that they continued prescribing medical transition even after a parent revoked consent. They kept doing it. She further said that most of the parents that she convinced didn't understand what they were agreeing to. It was the sales tactics that convinced them to do it. My first point, we have utterly failed at determining which children should and should not be receiving this life-changing treatment. Second point, gender-affirming care is usually more harmful than helpful.
Assembly will stand informal while the sergeant removes the individual.
Can't wait to talk about Sweden.
Representative from the 3rd, continue.
Thank you. All right, so, like I said, gender-affirming care is usually more harmful than helpful. This isn't coming from me. This is coming from studies. So in Sweden, they found that gender reassignment kills. Gender dysphoric patients are 19 times more likely to commit suicide after a reassignment surgery. That's a study by Dejeen Lichtenstein called Long-Term Follow-Up of Transsexual Persons Undergoing Sex Reassignment Surgery. So that's the study. Not surprisingly, in America, we just found the same thing. Our expert, John Straub, at the University of Texas in Galveston, their medical branch, found that the transitioned were 12 times more likely to commit suicide after transition. They concluded patients that have undergone transition surgery are associated with a significantly elevated risk of suicide. Again, that's our expert in America. And he said that in the risk of suicide after gender affirmation surgery. Next, gender reassignment increases psychological problems. That same Swedish study found that the transition need 3 times as much psychiatric inpatient care after the transition than before. They found in another study in Sweden in 2020 that hormone blockers and gender reassignment surgery did not improve any single mental health benchmark. It didn't help them afterward. Now, my third point, gender dysphoria usually passes without any intervention. Our American College of Pediatrics states that 98% of gender dysphoric boys desist from their gender dysphoric concerns, while 88% of girls desist from it. In France, the Academy of Medicine says the driving mechanism creating the phenomenon of rapid onset gender dysphoria is a result of excessive engagement with social media and an increase in influence within social circles. So what do our American experts say? Actors in Hollywood and reporters for major media organizations will tell you that this is somehow settled science. Dr. Paul McHugh disagrees. Dr. Paul McHugh is the retired psychiatrist-in-chief at Johns Hopkins, one of the greatest places for medicine in the world. He is now retired, but he was a psychiatrist-in-chief for a full 26 years. While he was their psychiatrist-in-chief, their top guy, he wrote 125 peer-reviewed articles and 6 books. After reviewing the history of transgenderism and Europe's experiences, these are his conclusions. Transgender is a mental disorder. He notes that no sex assignment is really mentally successful. After surgery, these people are not convinced that they're the other sex. Hormones and our brain's chemical balances are not convertible. Chopping off these limbs, your breasts or your crotch, when you're cutting those things off, that is not changing the brain's chemical balances, nor are the hormones. They're not really convertible. And efforts to change those fail consistently. This leads these folks to other mental illnesses. He found that transgenderism is more like anorexia. An anorexic person can weigh 80 pounds and look at a mirror and think they're fat. A very similar thing is happening, according to him, Dr. Paul McHugh, a very similar thing is happening when a gender dysphoric person looks in a mirror and sees the other gender. He points to a Vanderbilt study that showed that after reassignment surgery, that Vanderbilt study found that patients were 20% more likely to commit suicide. Notice that we have 3 tests. We have one in Sweden, one in Vanderbilt, one in Galveston, from the University of Texas, Galveston. Practically the same result. Transition surgeries increase suicide. Dr. Paul McHugh, after 26 years of being the psychologist-in-chief at Johns Hopkins, says that reassignment surgeries come very close to child abuse, since 80% of those kids seeking the surgeries will abandon the confusion and grow up naturally into adult life if untreated. He says claiming that this is a civil rights matter and encouraging surgical intervention is in reality to collaborate and promote mental disorder. Obviously, after this research, I have strong feelings. But I like to trust the expert in the psychiatrist-in-chief at Johns Hopkins. I'm interested in the 50 years of experience Europe has already had. Those experts put their medicine and ethics ahead of the politics of their day. Gender mutilation is wrong. When in history has it been productive to cut off your child's body parts? Is it common sense to do so? Allowing an adult to do reassignment surgery seems sadly necessary to preserve our freedom from government. But we restrict children from all kinds of things, like smoking cigarettes to protect their lungs. If we are willing to protect their lungs from cancer, why don't we protect their sexual organs from gender dysphoria too?